My motorcycle. I got home today and I redesigned these brackets. The ones that I had somewhere. Yeah, here we go. These are the ones that I had, and you can see the angle difference. This was 102 degrees. That's 125 degrees. So it's kind of a wild guess, but the basic structure of the bracket is the same. You've got a twist here, just a little bend here, and I used the notches to locate where I was going to twist. Basically, I just put these in the vise at that line. I put my wrench right here, one of these, but a bigger one, and then just tweaked it over, and that gave me that. It's not perfect. That's what I dropped. So it's a little skewed, but with the other brackets I had, this windshield was basically coming back at the same angle as this. So my windshield was like right here instead of up here. What that did was, instead of when I'm normally on this bike, I feel wind on basically my entire upper body, my torso. With the other bracket set, I felt wind at my neck. With this bracket set, I feel wind at the very top of my head. I didn't realize, I rode this bike for a long time, and then I got this one. Well, I got the Africa Twin, then this one. I added this windshield, and what this one does on this bike is it just barely gets it over the top of my head, where the other one was, again, it was like right at my chest. I could feel wind. So the cool thing is, this windshield does the same thing. It gives me the wind to where I want it. I've got a little bit of airflow at the top of my helmet, so if I leave my visor open, it'll cool my face off if I want, or I can close my visor and I basically don't feel a lot of wind. So the other benefit to this is when you're riding down the road at 60 miles an hour, where before, as when I rode that bike every day, I was cleaning off my visor on my helmet. I mean, you're getting bugs all over the helmet. With the windscreen on there, I didn't get a single bug. Maybe one. Yeah, right there. I got a little bug right there. But versus, having to clean it off every time, this completely did away with that. And the angle of the windscreen now, if I were to wreck on the motorcycle, where before it was right here, basically it was directly in line for my neck. So if I was riding it through the woods, maybe had a half helmet on or something, and I wrecked, this windscreen would go directly into my neck. Now, I might hit it with my head, maybe. If I'm wearing a helmet, the helmet will take the impact. So it's more of a safer option than what I had. I also, let's see, where's the other one? Here we go. This was my first iteration of trying to change my angle. Let me move this here. So this was the old bracket. This was the bracket with the angle change. And you can see that when I put it up there, it wasn't long enough. So I added some length to the next one. And I also trimmed this down, so you can see that the bracket is a little bit slimmer. So I'm going to leave this one on here for now. What I'm thinking about doing is 3D printing a plastic piece that will go between here, that will fit the handlebar size and give me an interface between the bolt. So you'd have two halves essentially that would bolt in. It would kind of center everything. It would fill that gap. It would look better. And when I go to work tomorrow, I'm going to laser cut a set of these and bend them and then paint them, and I'll weld this up right here, so it's one solid piece. And then I'll change these brackets out with the ones that I laser cut, so it'll look better, it'll be painted and all that. But I love it. I am tickled to death. The fact that I basically set me up a little mini 300 rally, which is, you know, the rallies have the windscreen on them. And what's cool is the windscreen that didn't work for my Transalp, the default windscreen, which is what this one is, I wasn't using it, and I was never going to put it back on the bike. Well, now I've got a use for it. And on this bike, you actually set a little bit lower, and with the angle that I put it at, it actually keeps the wind off of you the same as that windscreen. So you can see that one's kind of coming back. This one's actually at a little bit steeper angle. And I was able to maintain 60 miles an hour pretty easily. So at 60 miles an hour, it didn't seem to actually slow it down. So I'm kind of tickled with it. Now what I am going to do is see if I can find the deflectors that go here. That they make them that kind of deflect out. If you, excuse me, look at this one, you can see the deflectors that it has built in. I think the deflectors are fairly cheap, and I'm pretty sure they just bolt on right here. So it'd use the same bolts. So, yeah, I'm pretty tickled with it. I think it works really well. So, again, if anybody has this bike and you don't have the ability to cut and bend brackets like this, I can cut you some brackets and bend them to the relative shape and send them to you. And you can, you know, honestly, I'm not a businessman. I just like to design stuff. So if somebody wants them, let me know. You can pay me for my trouble to make them, and then you can finish them and do all the rest of the crap. So it'd be cheap, and it would give you a way to put a windscreen on your bike. Now, I had this one laying around, so I guess you'd have to either have one or buy one. But for my purposes, that worked really well. So either way, you guys have a great day. Bye.